I never thought a single sentence could break a man, especially when it comes from the person you love more than your own heartbeat. But that night, my daughter looked me in the eyes, her hands shaking, her face colder than winter itself, and whispered, "Dad, your absence is the best gift you can give me." At first, I didn't even understand what she meant. I smiled. Yes, I actually smiled, thinking she was joking or trying to tell me something in a clumsy teenage way. But her face didn't soften. Her eyes didn't blink. She stood there, frozen but determined. And in that moment, something inside my chest cracked. I felt a sting, not just in my heart, but deep in my soul, like the ground beneath me suddenly shifted. I opened my mouth to speak, to say anything, but for a moment I simply couldn't breathe. "Sweetheart, what are you talking about?" I asked, my voice trembling in a way I hoped she didn't notice. She stepped back. That hurt even more. Not long ago, this same girl used to run toward me after work, jump into my arms, tell me about her drawings, her school projects, her dreams. Now she was stepping away from me as if I was some kind of problem she needed to escape from. "I can't explain," she said. "Just leave. Please." Leave? Leave my own home? Leave my daughter? Leave my life? Her words felt like a slap, but not the kind that stings. The kind that leave you confused, wondering if you somehow deserved it. What did I do? Tell me. I insisted, begging almost. Did I hurt you? Did I disappoint you? Did someone say something to you? She pressed her lips together and looked at the floor. And then her voice, so small, so fragile, broke the air again. "Dad, just go. If you stay, you'll ruin everything." Everything? What everything? The more I asked, the more she shut down. Tears gathered in her eyes, but she wouldn't let them fall. That was the worst part. She wasn't angry. She wasn't yelling. She wasn't emotional. She was scared. But scared of me? That thought nearly killed me. I stepped back, the hallway spinning. My wife, Clara, stood behind her, one hand on our daughter's shoulder, her eyes full of something I couldn't read. Guilt? Fear? Anger? Or all three? Clara didn't say a word. Not one. For years, we've been drifting apart, but we always kept things stable for our daughter. At least, that's what I believed. But that night showed me how wrong I'd been. I grabbed my keys. My hands were trembling. My daughter flinched when the metal jingled. That tiny movement, it stabbed me, and that was the moment I realized. This wasn't sudden. This wasn't random. This wasn't her choice. Someone had pushed her to say those words. But I was too shocked, too broken, too blindsided to fight. So I did the thing she asked. I left, but as I walked out the door, one question echoed inside me like thunder. What secret could force my own daughter to push me away? I didn't know the answer yet, but soon I would, and the truth would destroy everything I thought I knew about my family. The first night away from home felt unreal. I checked into a small hotel a few blocks away, but I barely remember the room. I barely remember the walls, the bed, the light. All I remember is staring at the ceiling and replaying her words over and over again. Your absence is the best gift. What kind of father hears that from his own daughter? I kept thinking, maybe I raised my voice once too many times. Maybe I was too absent when work got heavy. Maybe I missed something important. Maybe I wasn't as attentive as I thought. But even with all my flaws, I knew one thing for certain. My daughter loved me, or at least she used to. Kids don't change overnight, not without a reason. And that reason was eating me alive. I called Clara the next morning. She declined. I texted, "I need to talk." No reply. I waited an hour and texted again. "Please tell me what's going on." Still nothing. It wasn't just worry anymore. It was suspicion. But who was I supposed to suspect? My wife, the mother of my child? We had our issues, yes. She'd grown distant over the past year. We argued more often. She found reasons to blame me for everything, from the broken dishwasher to the weather. But never did I think she would involve our daughter. Still, the way Clara held her that night, the way she stood silent, like a guard protecting a secret. Something wasn't right. By afternoon, I drove back to the house. I didn't go inside. I wasn't ready for another heartbreak, but I wanted to see if everything was normal. I parked across the street. Minutes later, the door opened. My daughter stepped out, backpack on her shoulders. Clara walked behind her like a shadow. I expected my daughter to look around, maybe search for me the way she always used to, just in case I was nearby. But she didn't. She kept her eyes on the ground, her face pale, tense. Clara opened the car door for her, whispering something I couldn't hear, and my daughter nodded. That nod, it didn't look like a choice. It looked like obedience, forced obedience. A thought hit me, sharp, sudden, terrifying. What if she wasn't pushing me away because she hated me, but because she was protecting me? Or worse, what if someone convinced her she needed protection from me? That idea twisted my stomach. But deep inside, another voice whispered, what if Clara told her something? Something untrue. I didn't want to believe it. But mothers and fathers can be dangerous when anger blinds them. And Clara, she had been angry for months. Still, I needed proof. I needed truth. I needed my daughter to talk to me, but she wouldn't answer my calls. My messages stayed unread. The silence became heavier each day, like a rope tightening around my chest. One evening, I made a decision. I walked toward the house. I rang the bell. Footsteps. The door opened just a crack. My daughter stood there. Her eyes widened. For a second, just a second, I saw the old her, the girl who used to hug me without hesitation. But then Clara appeared behind her. Don't, Clara said sharply. Don't say a word. My daughter lowered her head again. Clara stepped between us and whispered, you were never the father she thought you were. And with that, she closed the door. My heart dropped, because that sentence wasn't just cruel. It was a clue to the secret they were hiding from me. After that door closed on my face, everything inside me shifted from confusion to determination. Something was being done behind my back, something big. And if Clara thought she could use my daughter as a shield to keep the truth hidden, she was badly underestimating me. For days, I dug through memories like a man searching for clues in the ruins of his own life. When did things start to change? When did Clara's smile stop reaching her eyes? When did our daughter start pulling away? The signs were everywhere, but I had been too busy, too distracted, too trusting. Then something unexpected happened. My sister called. Are you okay? She asked softly. I lied, of course. Yeah, just work. Why? She hesitated. I heard something. My heart clenched. What did you hear? It's about Clara and your daughter. I gripped the phone harder. What is it? She sighed, almost whispering. Someone told Anna that you had another family before her. I froze. Another family? Before her? That's ridiculous. I snapped. I was 18 when Clara got pregnant. I was a kid myself. I know, my sister said, but Anna doesn't. Suddenly everything made terrifying sense. Clara had lied, not just a simple lie, a lie designed to poison my daughter against me. But why would she tell her something like that? I whispered. My sister was silent at first, and then she said something that sent a chill down my spine. Because Anna found something Clara was hiding. Something Clara didn't want you to know. That sentence burned through my mind like fire. What was Clara hiding? My sister ended the call with a warning. Be careful. Whatever Clara is doing, it's not accidental. That night, I couldn't sleep. Not even for a minute. At dawn, I made my move. I went to Anna's school, not confront her, but to see her, to understand. I watched from a distance as she walked out of the building. She wasn't herself. She walked like she carried something heavy inside her. Her eyes didn't shine. Her shoulders were slumped. She looked guilty. Guilty of what? As she waited for Clara to pick her up, she sat alone on a bench, hugging her knees. I took a risk and approached. Anna, I said gently. She flinched. Her eyes widened in panic. Dad, you can't be here, she whispered. She'll get angry. I asked. We both knew who she meant. Why would she get angry if we talk? I asked softly. Anna looked around, terrified, then leaned closer and whispered, because she said you'd hurt us if you knew the truth. The world stopped. Who told you that? Mom. My chest tightened. My hands trembled. What truth? I asked quietly. She looked down, voice cracking. The truth about the letter. Letter? What letter? Before I could ask, Clara's car screeched to a stop. She stormed out, grabbed Anna's arm, and glared at me with an expression I'd never seen before. You're not allowed near her, she spat. Clara, leave us alone. I watched them drive away, my daughter crying silently through the window. A letter, a lie about a secret family, a manipulated child. This was no misunderstanding. It was a setup, a trap, and for the first time I realized someone was trying to erase me from my daughter's life, and that someone was my own wife. But why? And what was written in that mysterious letter she didn't want me to see? I had no idea yet, but I was going to find out, even if it destroyed everything. The next days were a blur of desperation and strategy. I knew Claire was lying, but knowing isn't enough. You need proof, especially when the person you're fighting is someone who once held your heart. I started piecing things together. The secret family lie wasn't random. It was designed to cut my daughter away from me, to make her reject me, to make her believe I wasn't safe. But why would Clara go so far? The truth came unexpectedly. I received a call from a number I didn't recognize. Is this Anna's father? A woman's voice asked. Yes. I'm calling from the school, she said. There was an incident yesterday. Anna seemed distressed after her mother arrived. We're concerned. Distressed? Of course she was. She'd been torn between the two people she loved most. I drove to the school immediately. A counselor met me in her office. She spoke gently, choosing her words carefully. Your daughter is carrying a heavy emotional burden. She mentioned a letter. I believe she thinks you're angry at her. I felt my heart drop. Why would she think that? She said the letter proves you never wanted her. My legs went numb. I never said that. I whispered. I never even heard about a letter. The counselor nodded like she expected that answer. She leaned forward and said, Children don't invent stories like this. Someone put that idea in her mind. Someone, but we both knew who that someone was. Do you know what was written in the letter? I asked. The counselor hesitated. She didn't show it. She only said her mother found it in your things. That didn't make sense. I didn't keep letters. I didn't hide anything. Then I remembered, in a box in the attic, there were old notebooks from when I was a teenager. I didn't even know Clara ever touched them. Could she have used something inside them? The counselor gave me another look. A child doesn't reject a loving parent unless they're convinced they have to. Convinced. There it was. The exact word I'd been avoiding. Clara had convinced her. She had rewritten my daughter's heart. But how? When I drove home that day, not to enter, but to watch, I saw something that sealed my determination. My daughter wasn't cold. She wasn't distant. She was scared. And fear doesn't grow from truth. Fear grows from lies. Later that night, my phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. It was a picture of a handwritten page, yellowed, torn from an old notebook. My handwriting. But I recognized the words instantly, because they were never meant for Anna. They were never meant for Clara, either. They were part of a writing assignment I did when I was 17, about a fictional future where I feared becoming a father because I thought I'd fail. Every word was taken out of context, every sentence twisted. It looked like a confession that I never wanted a child, a confession that I wasn't ready, that I didn't care, that I wanted freedom from responsibility. In my teenage story, those words were part of character's internal monologue. But now, that page had been photographed, highlighted, and sent anonymously, along with a message. She believes it. Consider yourself erased. My blood ran cold. Someone had found that notebook. Someone had torn out the page. Someone had given it to my daughter. This wasn't an accident. This was an attack. And now I knew Clara didn't just lie. She used my own words, my teenage fiction, against me, but she didn't know something important. I kept the original notebook, and the missing page. I would soon discover exactly who tore it out and why. Once I understood the scale of Clara's lie, something inside me changed. Not anger. No. Anger is loud, reckless, emotional. This was different. This was clarity. I finally saw the game she was playing, and I realized I had only two choices: break or fight back. But fighting wasn't about winning. It was about protecting my daughter from a lie that was eating her alive. So I began quietly, calmly. I didn't storm a house. I didn't confront Clara. I didn't expose her immediately, because I realized something crucial. You don't tear down a lie by screaming. You tear it down by showing the truth. The first step was recovering the original notebook. I went to the attic, where the dust felt thicker than my own emotions. There it was, the box full of old-school papers. I flipped through the notebook until I found it, the page that had been violently torn out. The jagged edge matched the photo perfectly. But more importantly, on the next page was a continuation of the story, written clearly. This is not how I feel in real life. This character is the opposite of me. He fears becoming a father, but I dream of it. The complete context destroyed Clara's narrative. Now I had proof, real proof, but I needed more, something that would shatter the lie completely. So I made my next move. I reached out to someone Clara never expected me to contact, her sister. Lena and Clara hadn't spoken in years, but Lena always cared about Anna, and Lena knew Clara better than anyone. When I explained everything, Lena's voice cracked. "Oh, God, she's doing it again," she whispered. "Doing what?" "She's rewriting reality because she's afraid you'll leave her first." I closed my eyes. Why would she think that? Because she found something she shouldn't have found. Something that wasn't even about her. My heart dropped. What did she find? "A letter," Lena said. "Not from you. From your old boss. Remember? The one who asked you to relocate." Everything clicked. The relocation offer. The one I turned down because I didn't want to uproot my daughter's life. I remembered telling Claire about it. I remembered her panic, her accusations that I was planning to abandon them. But I never knew she'd kept the letter. Hidden it. Twisted it. Clara told Anna it was a letter saying you were leaving them, Lena continued. She used it to prepare her, to make her believe you didn't care. My blood boiled. Clara didn't just lie. She weaponized my sacrifice. I stayed for my family. And she twisted that choice into evidence that I wanted to leave. That was the moment my revenge plan crystallized. Not revenge to hurt her. Revenge to expose the truth. Revenge to reclaim my daughter. I gathered everything. Heavy checkmark the original notebook. Heavy checkmark the torn page. Heavy checkmark the relocation letter. Heavy checkmark Lena's testimony. Heavy checkmark screenshots of the anonymous threat. But I wasn't ready to confront them yet. I needed the perfect moment. A moment where Anna would see the truth with her own eyes. And that moment was closer than I realized. Because the very next day, Clara made a mistake. A mistake that opened a door to everything falling apart. It happened on a Thursday night. I was sitting in my car outside the house. Not to stalk, not interfere, but simply because being close made the silence easier to bear. That's when I saw Anna slip out the front door alone. No coat, no bag, no shoes, just pure panic on her face. I jumped out of my car. "Anna!" She froze, terrified, but not of me. "Dad, I can't breathe. I can't stay inside." She keeps saying things. I don't know what's true anymore. My heart broke all over again. I crouched down, keeping my voice soft. "Sweetheart," tell me what she said. She looked back at the house, trembling. She said, "You're leaving again." She said, "You're just waiting for the right time, and that you'll hurt her if she tells you the truth." The truth about what? Anna hesitated, and then she whispered the words that shattered my entire world. She said, "You never wanted me." Those words hit me like a punch. "No," I said firmly. "No, Anna, that is not true, not even a little." She shook her head, tears falling. But I saw the letter and the page, and she said you wrote it for me before I was born. There it was, the lie fully exposed. Anna, I said, there's something I need to show you. I took her to my car. Opened the bag I'd been carrying for days. I handed her the notebook, opened to the page after the torn one. She read silently. Her lips parted. She looked up at me, confused. This says the character isn't you, and that you actually dream of being a father. I nodded, because that's the truth. She turned the page again, and again, her breathing slowed. Then I showed her the relocation letter, the one Clara used to claim I was leaving. This, I said softly, is an old job offer. I turned it down because I didn't want to leave you. She stared at the page, her hands shaking. Mom said, she said you packed your things. No, I whispered. She packed them. Anna's face twisted in realization. To make it look real, before I could comfort her, the front door slammed open. Clara stood there, eyes wide, furious. Anna, get inside right now. My daughter hid behind me. No, she cried. Not this time. Clara froze. What did he tell you? Nothing, Anna said. He showed me. Clara's eyes flicked to the notebook in her hands. And at that moment, she knew she'd lost control. She ran toward us. But I stepped between them. Clara, I said quietly, this isn't tonight. Her face crumpled, not in anger, but in fear. You don't understand, she whispered. I had to. I had to prepare her. Prepare her for what? I demanded. For you leaving. I never planned to leave, I said. You created that story. Clara shook her head wildly. I saw the signs. I felt you slipping away. I found the letter. I found the notebook. I thought if she hated you first, it wouldn't hurt as much when you finally left us. Anna gasped. You made me say those words, she whispered. Your absence is the best gift. You made me push him away. Clara covered her mouth, breaking down. I'm sorry, she sobbed. I didn't know what else to do. But it was too late. The damage had already been done. And now the truth had finally come out. The truth my daughter deserved to hear. Clara collapsed to the ground, sobbing into her hands. But her tears didn't fix anything. Not the lie she built, not the fear she planted, not the distance she created between me and my daughter. Anna stood shaking behind me. Her eyes weren't angry. They were wounded, deeply, and not just by me. I knelt beside her. Sweetheart, I whispered, I'm here. You don't ever have to push me away again. Not for anyone. She clung to me, hesitant at first, then desperately. Dad, I'm so sorry, she cried. I didn't want to hurt you. I just didn't know what to believe. You don't owe me an apology, I said. You only reacted to the story you were given. She looked up at me with trembling lips. I thought I was protecting myself. I thought, if I let you go first, it wouldn't hurt as much. Her words cut deep because they mirrored Clara's exactly. Two people I loved, both trying to avoid pain, and both hurting themselves in the process. We're going to fix this. I promised. Together. Clara approached then, slowly broken. I didn't mean to destroy anything, she cried. I felt you drifting away. I panicked. I wanted control. Control. That word echoed in my mind. Because control is what started all of this. The moment fear enters a family, love becomes a weapon. And Clara used that weapon recklessly. Clara, I said quietly, we need help. All of us. She nodded through tears. And so began the long process of rebuilding. Heavy checkmark family counseling. Heavy checkmark individual sessions for Clara. Heavy checkmark weekly meetings with Anna. Heavy checkmark daily calls, daily breakfast, daily reassurances. It wasn't easy. Some days, Anna couldn't look at me without remembering the lie. Other days, she clung to me like she was afraid I'd disappear. But slowly, gently, she returned. One night, after a counseling session, she hugged me and whispered, I never want your absence. Your presence is the only gift I need. And that was the moment I knew we were healing. Not perfectly. Nothing about the story was perfect, but we were rebuilding something new, something honest, something unbreakable because the truth, once revealed, becomes stronger than any lie. Claire apologized every day, sometimes too much, sometimes not enough. But apologies were no longer the point. The real work was trust, and trust takes time. But I was willing to give it. For my daughter, I would give a lifetime. People think betrayal is loud, that it comes in slamming doors, screaming arguments, dramatic exits. But sometimes betrayal comes quietly, in whispers, in rewritten memories, in lies disguised as protection. My daughter's words, "Your absence is the best gift," didn't come from her heart. They came from fear planted by someone who believed she was being left behind. And that's the real tragedy. People don't hurt us because they're evil. They hurt us because they're hurting. Clara wasn't trying to punish me. She was trying to protect herself from a past she never healed from, a past where her own father walked out without warning. She swore she'd never let that happen again. And in trying to prevent history from repeating, she created the very pain she feared most. But we survived it, because truth, even painful truth, is stronger than fear. Here's what I learned. 1. Children will believe whatever story they hear most consistently. So make sure the story they hear from you is the truth. Asterisk, asterisk. 2. Fear creates lies, and lies create distance. But honesty, even uncomfortable honesty, creates connection. Asterisk, asterisk. 3. Trust is fragile, but if you fight for it, it rebuilds stronger than before. Asterisk, asterisk. And the most important lesson of all. 4. Love isn't about being perfect. It's about staying, even when things get messy, confusing, and painful. Asterisk, asterisk. My daughter no longer repeats those cold words. Now, when she sees me, she hugs me before I can even take off my shoes. She knows the truth now. She knows I never left her heart, even when I left the house. And sometimes when we sit together, watching old home videos, she leans her head on my shoulder and whispers, "Dad, thank you for coming back." But the truth is, I never left. Not really. I was just waiting for her to find her way back through the noise, the lies, and the fear. And now that she's here, I won't ever let misunderstanding steal another moment of our life again. Because her presence, her laughter, her trust, those are the greatest gifts I will ever receive.